Whoa! Okay. Well, it wasn't easy finding material here, but I do run a various, but I do have a channel that has everything in it. Has all the brain juice and the real, and all the, yes. I always try to give out the best material, or if not the best, then better than the best, or somewhere in between the good and the really, or somewhere in between the really good and the most inexpensive stuff. I'm picking my brains. The material for this is, and you can all relax. I did not have a fight with any of my parents. But speaking of parents, like I didn't have a fight with. Oh. I did not have an argument or fight with my parents. In fact, I had just the opposite. I had a minor misunderstanding. And it, yes. Speaking of parents, which I will, have you noticed 99% of the shit, or 98%, okay, that's a little mean, at least 80 to about 89% of the time, the parents give the worst advice to their kids, and it's not because, and it's not the age of the kid, it's more the and when I mean kid, I don't mean kid like a small kid. I'm talking about pre-adolescents and then teenagers, most likely, you know, or if you're 30 still and you're living with your family and parents, you know, there is such a thing as a late bloomer, or a ridiculously late bloomer. I'm not saying I'm one of them, even though I am, but you know, 89%, but I say, but up to 80, and pretty much up to like 80 to about 89% of the most emotional harm actually does come from parents, because they don't know what to because they don't know how to either approach about 80% to about 89%. Parents are usually really wrong and not very healthy for you in the emotional sense. They give the worst advice, I think, because like when you hit a certain age, say 10's not like age for that. It's more like it's got to be a good number, like 20. Anywhere from like, I'd say about 13 and a half, 14, he was of age, and going right up until about almost the end of your teenage wolfhood, or pretty close to the end of it, like 17 and a half, I would say, yeah. And this just doesn't, and this is not just guys. This is, this is women too. Like, they just can't stand their parents. They love them, but they just can't stand them, because they are growing up into a body that they are not very comfortable in, or if not comfortable, they have to be basically forced to be in this body forever, because it's not going to get shrunken. It's not going to shrink, it's going to grow. Either it's facial hair, or hair in places where you just didn't need hair, or just like your mind and heart, most likely, are the two dominant and popular places where it's going to hit. Like, parents really need to step back and take a look at their kids. I'm not saying it's the parents' fault that their kids have learned to, it's not. I'm not saying it's the parents' fault that these kids they had originally are now becoming pre-adolescent werewolves. That's not the fault of those people, because they're just doing it. Teenagers were not meant to be understanding of their parents all the time. They're just not. And it's even worse when you have something like Down syndrome on top of it, like, or something of a disorder of ability. It's extra hard to live under someone's shadow and not expect to get anything of it on you, because you will, every time. Not some of the time, not part of the time, but all of the time. Like when a kid gets to the age where he says, where he or she thinks or says, what was I thinking? I don't want to be like my parents. That means they've accepted the fact that they just can't stand their parents. And the parents can't help them, because that's their thing. It's their thing that's been given to them, not by God so much, but by a second and third birth. It's called puberty. And it's a very delicate thing, like, no one comes out of it alive. No one. It makes the parents feel like they should be around them more, and it makes the people that are now becoming werewolf versions of who they were before, they don't want to go through it. Like irregularities, errors in was expected. Massive, massive emotional blows to the heart, and I'm there. Ability structure and Catholic upbringing all comes together to form puberty. It's not my... And it's no luck of the draw. You know, it's not the luck of the draw. It's got something to do with science. Like, it's no luck of the draw, and it's not a science experiment. It's a person that hates it, being in their skin, because they know they're going to have to live with it the rest of their lives. They're going to fight and howl, bark, and make all kinds of noises. Like, you'd think these were actually wolves, or people being turned into wolves. No wonder there's so many horror movies about werewolves, you know, and vampires and stuff like that, mutilated versions of zombies, like, because that's how teenagers feel. They go through this cycle of, what is happening here? Why am I feeling this way now? I didn't before. That's because they weren't going through the process of the wolf chain, you know, of their emotions. They had them back then too, but they just didn't know they had emotions. Take a look at my ex-girlfriend. She's everything beautiful and wonderful, but there's nothing wrong with those things, but it's just that she's